The people have had enough, and revolution is imminent. I never thought I would live to see it in my lifetime, the day the government of this nation turns on its people. But we had seen similar to the June 16 Soweto uprising right here in the capital just last week. Students demonstrated against the Namibian Students Financial Assistance Fund, which has made headlines for all the wrong reasons recently. Students from various organizations and institutions called for a shutdown of the Higher Education Ministry and the resignation of the Minister, Dr. Kandji-Murangi, and organized a demonstration which ended in violence. Here's what transpired.
NANSO Vice President Bernard Kavu read the petition in which students demanded 100% tuition fee payments that should include students that are on the initial contract which they have signed when the fund started.
Our demand number one, we demand 100% tuition paid as per contract signed by students. We demand 8% coverage of boarding students as per the contract signed by students. We demand non-tuition fee of 21,600 as signed by students. We are just informing you that the agreement signed, time have lapsed since 31 July 2018 have passed and the agreement was not committed to. We demand Honorable Minister to release the budget, the whole remaining of 1.5 billion to be given to NSFAF today. All 2017 tuition and tuition fee must be paid today. The Minister, we are requesting you to source the 400 million deficit as communicated to us by NSFAF. We also could like to inform our new intake of 2018 beneficiary that they should not sign the 2018 contract.
Higher Education Minister Kandji-Murangi took 4 hours to arrive in order to address the students. At first, she opted for her permanent secretary to receive the petition on her behalf, but the students insisted on seeing her. Kandji-Murangi said that tuition fees will be paid in full, but hostel fees should be settled by students' parents if the amount offered by NSFAF does not cover the total cost.
So you must understand that for every one of you who is funded, truly funded by NSFAF, your tuition fee is fully covered. And the 17,000 that goes as non-tuition fee, that's where we are saying you've got to reach out to your parents. You've got to reach out to your guardians. Because for UNAM students, if I may say, listen, for UNAM students, those who are in body, for instance, you take medical school, the accommodation there is in the region of 28,000. The rest is about 22 and so on. What is the difference? The difference is in the region of 5,000 to 9,000. And that's where we are saying you reach out and actually get whatever additional funds from your parents.
Kandji-Murangi called the students selfish, as according to her the new payment system is to also assist the 2018 intakes, urging students to take others' needs into account.
Why? Because we've got to fund the 2018 award students as well. We've got to fund them. Now, if we were to fund only the continuing students, we would not cater for the 11,000 students who are first-year students across our tertiary institutions this year. So you must understand it. Do you continuing students want all the money for yourselves? Yeah. Oh my God, then you are selfish. You are selfish. Thank you.
The NBC also covered this story.
The reserve force was called in to disperse the crowd, and some of the students went onto their knees to surrender while others refused. Some were left bleeding, while others ran for cover when the police used tear gas to disperse the crowd.
Look at them, they are there looking at us as if we are criminals. We are not criminals, we are also residents of this country. We are not criminals.
Student and civil organizations decried the police brutality meted out on the students, and various press conferences were held.
As student leaders, we are very heartbroken, per se, as to how our rights are being violated in this country. That's why we are united under one force, standing here today to condemn the brutal actions of what happened to our students yesterday. We are in a democratic country and we can no longer continue being undermined, being silenced. When we are not in favor of things that are affecting us as students, then we are told to keep quiet. Time has arrived where as a student populace, we need to stand up and speak against these actions.
Let's make it clear that there was no disorderly nor righteous actions as our entire demonstration was held under the theme High Discipline, High Morale. a slogan which our students were chanting throughout. Our negotiation team was removed from the minister's boardroom by armed police officers during the negotiations with the minister. The removal was humiliating, it was degrading, and an insult to our human dignity and personal integrity. Our benevolence and pure intentions were further reciprocated by nothing but savage antics. As special field forces were sanctioned to a peaceful gathering on an instruction to assault students with disdain and horrific brutality, which inflicted serious injuries on many of our students, resulted in the seizure of student personal belongings, and the disappearance of many other students who are unaccounted for at this very moment, despite the confirmation that we got from the commissioner that there are none in police custody. So allow us to also just mention that many of our students who were assaulted were all kneeling down as a sign of respect to all law enforcement agencies and an indication of their willingness to engage and find amicable solutions to their grievances.
Actually what happened is that when we asked to disperse, we left the government office park premises and moved to the opposite location, which is J&J Entertainment. But just for us to be shocked that the special field force came to abduct and beat students, carrying them from inside. Some pleaded to them that we are going home, we are here getting kept, such as the robot. Some ran into service stations, some ran into nearby houses, but the police continued to pursue them with vehicles, beating the student up until as far as B1 City Mall. Some students, we don't know, as we're saying, there are some students that are lost because they are unaccounted for. So we do not understand. Some students ran to a place yet, okay, stop. But police followed them inside and beated them like they are beating animals.
Our news team attended a press briefing by Nampol Commissioner Edwin Kangwachivi, who was asked about the excessive force the members of the Special Reserve Force used.
The patience of this police officer and the professional manner in which they acted need to be commended, honestly speaking. Because in other countries, if you are told to move, you'll move, and you'll move right there and then. But these people were sort of negotiating, move, don't do this and that, until such time they have to do what they have to do. For you is to disperse, and they have to make sure, look, you were violating the law as it is. You have rights and freedoms, those freedoms that are guaranteed. But you have to know that other citizens have the same rights. Now, where they were, if you take the street, I forgot the name of the street, it's an intersection, it intersects with Robert Mugabe. So if you are moving, you probably would move with Robert Mugabe towards Hardleaves and those places. But if your movement is interfering with the movement of other citizens using the same road, I'll have to ensure that you are off the road for your own safety and the free movement of the others. You want to ensure that these people are not coming back, isn't it? It is moving around the corner into Robert Mugabe and all of a sudden they are back. So you haven't solved your issue. The fact was that you have to clear the road for other citizens to use the road. First and foremost, it was agreed, and in the attachment that I have given you, the condition in terms of Section 3 of the Public Gatherings Act, provide that after handing over the petition, please disperse peacefully. Number one, you refused. And I want to make sure that you're not coming back.
Journalists asked Kangwachivi whether he thinks Namibia is becoming a police state or not.
We are very, very far from turning into a police state. In fact, my experience, and I have traveled extensively, I have to other places rougher than this. I don't want to point individual countries, I don't have that right, where people are being robbed while others are watching. This is not, it's not here yet. Maybe it will yet come. Where the police are brutal, this police force is very civil. In fact, if you take the hours that they patiently wait for these people to disperse, until such time, they had to use minimum force to, would you say that is a police state?
I spoke to some students who weren't part of the demonstration about what happened last week.
We are demanding our rights. This is the money that we have signed for a contract. So they already decided to cut the amount to 17K from 2023. Then we understand. The refund is not a case. The problem is the tuition fees. Some of the tuition fees are not settled. And yet, it's the institutions, they are demanding their money. No way you can print, no way you can do anything. Your account is locked. you cannot even buy anything from there because they say you have to sell this amount for you to be access to the service.
My thought personally is students shouldn't really be facing these type of problems. I mean, the last time students were shot up was in South Africa during the protests and during apartheid. Like, this is totally unjustly. People shouldn't, like, we're living in the 21st century, and us as independent students, we should be able to protest and give our thoughts out there and not be able to be victimized by police. This is totally unforgivable, and it's a crime that should be looked into.
I think that for it to have gotten to that level was very unnecessary. I think that we are in a small country that has a very large GDP, and it is possible for our government to provide quality and affordable education to a lot of people. So for something like this to be escalating to the point of violence, to the point where our students have to feel unsafe now and scared to stand up or to say something, I think it's very disappointing and very unnecessary for it to have gotten to that point.
Students definitely feel like they are not being heard. So that's why they felt that they had the need to speak up for other students also who could not be there. Because remember, we're not just speaking for students here at NAST or in Windhoek, we're speaking for the students everywhere. Because students are everywhere in Namibia. There's different campuses everywhere.
I am not happy at all. So I think the police officer must handle things professional, please. That's what we want from them. They must come to the demonstration, but they must take it easy and professional. If there's no criminal involved, why should they have to beat? Why should they have to go to throw gas and so on? So I think it's not needed at all.
I think that the police could have handled that better. At the end of the day, these are students who are asking to be heard, and so the police can come in. They can definitely de-escalate violence, but I don't think it's necessary for them to also retaliate with violence, and that could have been handled much better.
Even if we were aggressive, that's not the way to come to us with armed and looking all equipped as if we are at war.
I wonder a lot of the times who is holding the police accountable, because we did have an incident in the past where we had someone who was shot and then the police weren't able to identify where the bullet came from. They just don't know who shot the person, or even though they keep a registry of guns and you know which gun belongs to whom. So I think we definitely do need to look into who is holding our police accountable, the same way that we want to hold our media accountable, we want to hold our politicians accountable. We need to hold these people that we put our lives and our safety into their hands. We need to be able to hold them more accountable, because a lot of the time if you do question this, they're just going to say like, oh, we don't know, oh, we're sorry, or there's no one to investigate, because they're not going to investigate themselves, definitely not, and they're not going to persecute themselves either, or their fellow commanders or their fellow police officers. So we need to have a way to hold them more accountable, I think.
Residents of Okakarara also took out their frustration on the police after officers at the town went on a mission to close down shebeens. Here's what happened.
People wanted to know why the bar were closed before the normal closing hours according to their license. So, and then the exchange of words maybe get out of hands, and then the police started to close the gates. They switched off the light and circle the community members and started to beat. So among these people there were ladies. One was pregnant, is a pregnant woman. So, and they were heavily beaten. One lost a piece of his ear. I think it's completely gone. It cannot be recovered. So, as I'm speaking now, they are still receiving some medical treatment. A group of I think 8 or 10, they went to Shuarongo to get their medical report in order for them to come and open the case. There is a group of police officials from Oshiwarongo who will also come and register the cases that will be open against the police officer.
This week, the Vaherero Traditional Authority called a press conference on this.
What happened in Okakarara on Sunday should have, from Monday until today, been the headlines in all our newspapers and our TV screens, to shook our nation out of its slumber, to remind our politicians and lawmakers that this is not The type of Namibia for which our freedom fighters, our sons and daughters, laid their lives simply to face police brutalities in an uncalled fashion.
I asked Vetarue Kondorozu of the Okakarara Town Council what he makes of the police brutality in this case.
I think from the look of things, the police acted beyond the normal right for them to exercise the maximum power to protect themselves, because no one was confiscated of any ammunition or sharp weapon or anything. Of course, we, the people from this side, over Herero, we do carry kiris or sticks in our hands, but there was no threat or no attempt of beating any police officers that was reported.
We also spoke to Nampol Inspector General Sebastian Deitunga.
This is really an unfortunate incident whereby the public and the police probably could not understand each other. There was a serious misunderstanding that led to the crash between the police and the public. And this event could have been avoided should everyone knew the demarcation between the rights of citizens to free, interact, associate, and the powers of the police to maintain law and order. And because probably there were some misunderstanding, it led to a serious conflict between the police and the public.
General, on Sunday, I was the chief law enforcement officer of the day. I did your job for you and your official. While you were somewhere, I don't know doing what, here in Vent. I saved your backside for you. I saved the day for the president. I saved the day for the country. I did not incite any violence that day. Your officials that night broke the law in every sense of the word. And then they went on to lie to their superiors. And your superiors by now know that that is the truth. I cooperated 150% with your senior officials, and calm returned to Okakarara. General Deitunga, you have 48 hours from this moment to retract your malicious statement in which you injured my character and reputation by going back to the same Radio Oshiwambo and stating the truth that what you said about me was without any foundation. If you don't do that, you will face me in a court of law to answer to $1 million defamation suit of character in your personal capacity.
Namibians took to social media to express their disdain with an NBC News story that broke, stating that a 41-member delegation will be going to Germany to repatriate the skulls of Namibians in Germany.
The delegation, which include leaders from the Nama, Herero, Mbanderu and the Council of Traditional Authorities, will also be accompanied by Vice President Nangolo Mbumba. Mbumba serves as the chairperson of the Political Committee on Genocide, Reparations and Apology. About 22 skulls are said to be repatriated, and the group will depart on the 26th of this month.
On the other side, we will be met by our ambassador, of course, and also by the representatives of the German government. There will be ceremonies, there will be programs, and there will be virtuals where through the official handing over will also take place between the two governments, the government of the Republic of Namibia, represented by myself, and a representative from the German government.
This will be the third set of human remains to be returned to Namibia as part of the ongoing repatriation process. While in Berlin, the delegation will also attend the renaming ceremony of streets after Namibians who resisted colonialism. Late Aman Klein Gaup, Cornelius Friedrichs, and Kagurukade Mungunda will be honored with streets named after them in the African Quarter area of the German capital.
I asked Bob Kandetu of the Okakarara Traditional Authority to explain.
We have a virtually established tradition that the skulls are not put on in a parcel and mailed. These are forebearers of the Namibian people, at least part of the community of Namibian people, the victim communities in particular, specifically the Nama and Okakarara. And each time these people speak about these experiences, Ohamakadi, Horncrans, people cry, concept, and all that. Our established tradition as Africans, particularly the victim communities I just referred to, a dead person, particularly a forebearer, a parent, a child, the body is never put in a parcel and mailed. It is accompanied by a number of people to the extent possible. It is within this context that virtually everybody in this country wants to go and meet these people, but reality dictates differently. So hence, when you talk about 41 people going to meet these skulls and bringing them back, you're talking about the minimum that can happen. When we talk about the context of our traditions. So it's not a joke. Somebody who says that you can send somebody to bring these people is either not Namibian or very insensitive to Namibian realities.
Up next, it's Dudley's Doodles. I almost broke my neck and had to do a double take when I saw a report in the Namibian newspaper this week in which our Minister of International Relations, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, complimented Zimbabwe on a peaceful election. That's not what I saw reported in the press. Just look at this video showing some of the election drama that transpired there. My people took to social media to express themselves on this. Manfred posted, "Nothing was peaceful and is currently peaceful in Zimbabwe, please. These politicians don't have integrity. They always like to sugarcoat issues." Mike wrote, "So the innocent lives that got lost meant nothing to her. That's what you call peaceful, madam. Put yourself in the shoes of those who lost their relatives." And Eben posted, "Just like our government does not like to be held accountable, so they will also not hold other African governments accountable," which essentially renders bodies like the African Union and SADC powerless. It's all about praise singing and scratching each other's backs, because tomorrow our government may need some back scratching from other corrupt African countries. Up next, it's the resident voice of the people in Cecilia Says.
Things are happening too much in our country. Our life and safety are in the police hands. Please, government must do something about this, because we are scared.
That's all we have for you tonight. Stay woke and keep watching It's a Wrap every Friday night at 8 o'clock on One Africa TV, on channel 284 on DSTV, channel 90 on GoTV, and 301 on NBC. And subscribe to It's a Wrap with Erica Gebhardt on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Insta.